the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you, once and always, for downloading and listening to this show. So, again, it's a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today as we head into yet another Christmas, the Christmas of 2324, or Christmas of 2023 at the very least. We're back at Christmas time. Obviously a very important time of year for all of us Christians, and we know the meaning of Christmas. It's not about Santa Claus, it's not about reindeer, it's not about gingerbread man, it's not about snowman, it's not about Frosty, and there sure as heck hasn't been a Frosty the Snowman in Minnesota or Iowa or South Dakota or Nebraska or any of the other places. California, obviously. Some people out there listening from California probably never get snow hardly, unless they're up on the mountain somewhere in a certain time of year, I guess. But it's definitely been a warmer year with El Nino, warmer and kind of wetter, a damp vibe, basically. But obviously, again, the white Christmas, all that stuff. It's nice looking, it's classic, it's traditional and all that, but it doesn't really necessarily tell the true meaning of Christmas, which is, of course, the birth of Christ, the birth of the Lord, the one who basically became the lamb. So we don't have to make sacrificial lambs anymore. It's the ultimate Christmas present is what God gave us. So that's what that's what it's all about. It's the ultimate Christmas present, that our sins are forgiven and that we can indeed go to heaven. So as long as we follow him. So, again, also, some other conversations that I could have. I don't anticipate this being a particularly long episode necessarily, but something, something that's been kind of eating at me a little bit. It's like not the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of annoying. Again, like local radio, when you listen to local radio or TV or such, there's people there that know each other and have known each other for many years. Like maybe they have a guest on that's been on forever, and the person celebrates Christmas, right? Like, say, the host celebrates Christmas and the guests celebrate Christmas, yet they still have to do the whole Happy Holidays thing. I just don't understand it. It's like, so I posted on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Freedom of Thought 1776. This was a very recent post, so I didn't expect anybody to really respond to it in time. I was saying, serious question, if you celebrate Christmas and the other person you're talking to celebrates Christmas, what's this Happy Holidays bullcrap? Come on, people. And what is this Happy Holidays bullcrap? I've never understood it, honestly. It's I don't know, like many years ago when I was a kid or a teenager, maybe a super young adult, but especially the kid and teenager thing, where the whole thought of Happy Holidays, particularly like, say, the old song like Happy Holidays, Happy Holidays, let the merry bells keep ringing, all that kind of stuff. I always saw holidays, Happy Holidays, meaning Christmas and New Year. I didn't think of it as there's lots of holidays in December and all that. Like Hanukkah, of course, we're all tied to Hanukkah, like the Torah and all that. That's the Old Testament, and we're Judeo-Christians and all of that. So we're tied to Israel. Hanukkah is Hanukkah. It's kind of a bummer though how the left wing side, say, of the Jewish faith, like the very left-wing side here in the United States, and quite a few here in Minnesota as well, like, they're the ones that don't seem to really give a crap about Israel, and they're like, let Palestine take over. Yet, when it comes to Christmas, they're like, I'm Jewish! And they're very, that's the part that I don't understand. I have nothing against Jews whatsoever. I have absolutely nothing against Israel or Jews or anything like that. I just think it's strange when they get really uptight about Christmas and everything, yet they don't seem to care about their own homeland. It's very strange. So that's a contradiction that I've never understood. Why would you vote for a party that doesn't support you. It doesn't make any sense. Yet they vote Democrat all the time. So I've never understood that point of view. And heck, obviously the African American community is starting to turn around, thankfully, about that, because it's not like Democrats are really helping African Americans. They're maybe just giving certain people handouts and making them dependent on the government. And the more dependent you are on somebody, the more they can control you. Why would you want to vote for somebody that wants to control you? Doesn't make any sense. And that would mean anybody from any race. But the African American group in particular seem to follow the condescending pandering of the Democrat Party. They tend to follow it, and I've never understood that. But luckily, they're starting to finally not being woke, but waking up. Woke is bullcrap. Like, that's just, I'm woke. I know that the white man or that the country is just using people and blah, 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 which is, well, yeah, it's not particularly true. It's just the wrong way to view things, honestly. Yeah, the Democrat Party, be woke, quote unquote, to what the Democrat Party is doing. Wake up to that, rather than just thinking and assuming anybody that isn't, part of your demographic, one way or another, is only looking to, for like basically make you a slave. Like, you built this country and this and that, which I don't know, and just believing a lot of lies. Honestly, you're just kind of believing a lot of lies and letting all this continue and letting these people control you. So, where did I get into that? I'm not sure. I suppose we're getting closer and closer to another major political year. It all started with my whole Jewish conversation, yeah, where they get uptight about the whole Merry Christmas, did you get your Christmas shopping done or whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe I didn't need to ask that. This was years ago in my service days. But the person was just, I'm Jewish. And they were, kind of really snooty about it. And I just politely said, oh, I'm sorry about that. Happy Hanukkah. How was your Hanukkah? And she's just, good. And then that was it. No conversation, no eye contact, nothing. Typical millennial, really, to be quite honest. That's a millennial. This was many years ago, though, when they were still, millennials were still very young. They weren't in their 30s like they are now. It was like a high schooler or something, but very uptight. And it was like sad, really sad. So it's just, I don't know. I've never understood that attitude, and I wish people would cut it out. I was kind. I was thoughtful about it. I wasn't all just shoving my point of view down your throat. So why are you shoving yours down mine? So I've never understood that. I just haven't. So it tends to happen this time of year, particularly from those on the left. They want to shove their point of view down your throat, yet they continuously, they shove their, they won't let you have a point of view, but they'll shove theirs down your throat. And they've always kind of played it that way. Like, they want to have it both ways. Like the whole thing about we have to be tolerant and accepting and loving of this demographic and this group and this group and that group, identity politics, but they absolutely hate you for your point of view and the way, for your point of view and your demographic. So it's like, eventually you want to do what Dan Bongino says and give them the double-barreled middle finger. That's pretty much the approach. I know it's not a very Christmassy attitude, but eventually it's like, if you want to have an attitude with me, why should I be nice back to you? Like, why should I keep, kissing up to you when you're just trying to kick me in the face? Eventually, you just wanted to say, all right, screw you, goodbye, I'm done, all done. So, at the end of the day, that's just kind of how things are when it comes to all of that. Obviously, the real meaning of Christmas is a lot more important, a lot deeper than people arguing about demographics and which holiday they celebrate and such. Regardless, Jesus died, to forgive us. Jesus died for our sins. He, forgive us our sins, and of course rose again, died and rose again to forgive us our sins. The sacrificial lamb, like literally. So, animal sacrifices don't have to happen anymore like they did back in the Old Testament. So there's a reason why the Old and the New Testament are kind of different. Obviously, there's a lot of amazing history in the Old Testament, and these godly men and all that a few of them actually went home to be with the Lord before they died, like Enoch and Elijah. So fascinating stuff right there. It's amazing, though, how there was all this talk about the coming of the Messiah, and then when the Messiah came, unfortunately, a heavy majority rejected Christ, and it's too bad. So it's a crying shame how that took place. Some of them were a part of, obviously, the terrible things that happened, unfortunately. like the Pharisees and such. So very sad indeed. Again, Christmas is definitely a very special time. One thing that like one little, what do we call it? Props I can give out to say the new Minnesota Wild coach, John Hines is his name. Well, there was a podcast going on. What is it, like 7th Street Wild, 7th Street or something like that, Minnesota Wild, and they're asking him like a little lightning round of questions at the end of the conversation. When you get to the end of the interview, so to speak, the episode he's going to be on, they do a little lightning round of like short answers type thing. They asked, "What's his favorite holiday?" And then where he just said Christmas. So that was kind of cool. In a lot of ways, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but of course, Christmas is more special at the end of the day. Like, one of the reasons I like Thanksgiving so much is because it leads into the Christmas season. So you can kind of see where all this is heading. It all kind of leads to Christmas at the end of the day when it comes to like a favorite holiday or a purpose and everything. And I always love the tree, the lights and all that. I know, unfortunately, it is kind of more of like just a natural thing and it has nothing to do with the Lord. But I still enjoy the lights and everything because it still puts you in this wonderful mood and old memories and such. So I'm still going to cherish it very much, very much. Just like how eating a turkey, so to speak, on Thanksgiving isn't as important as remembering, the Native Americans for helping the Pilgrims and the Pilgrims for, sacrificing their lives in England, where they may have been better off at the time, to take the risk and all that. And a lot of people did lose their lives on their way over and, of course, lost their life not too long after they came. So things like that. But you still enjoy the turkey. You still remember it and all that. So just like the Christmas tree, the ornaments and everything. And the ornaments can have plenty of meaning to them. Other ones are more fun. There's like angels, obviously. There's the classic bulb ornaments, which, honestly, I can't get enough of the bulb ornaments. And I can't get enough of the Christmas lights. I can't. I like when they have that kind of traditional 80s and 90s look, which even though these are LEDs right now that are flashing on the tree, they still have that 80s, 90s color scheme that I like so much, that I kind of grew up with, rather than some of that modern looking stuff that looks like, I don't know, more like a rainbow. I mean, this looks more like Christmas than, say, what we see in the super modern stuff of today. So just things like that. It's still wonderful memories, and they'll always be appreciated and cherished. But again, we must always never let go of the real reason for Christmas, and celebrate the birth of Christ. Celebrate the birth of Christ and how it all began with the Messiah coming to our world and making the ultimate sacrifice at the end of the day. And not only that, eventually going to hell for 3 days also to take the keys from Satan. So pretty amazing how all of that took place. And we always want to give thanks to the Lord for that. So with that said, I just want to thank all of you so much for listening to the show. Please tell your friends about it. Please do. Please encourage your friends to listen to the show. Please give positive ratings on Apple Podcasts if you use that. Google Podcasts, Google Podcasts, unfortunately, is about to go away in the next few months, so that's a huge shame. I don't think there was a rating system on that one anyway, but still, it's a huge shame. That's a nice way to kind of find a show, is on Google Podcasts. Spotify, of course, is a major one, and that's actually tied to the podcasting provider that I listen to. Many others, like Audible. Stitcher's gone now too. Can you believe it? A lot of these classic podcasting providers are all going away. Podbean, I believe the show's on Podbean. I know it's on like FM Player and all that. Podcast FM, I believe it's called. Sorry, Pocket Casts, and many others. To the Instagram, freedom_of_thought 1776, Strikeforce 92. That would be Mr. Mark Carlson out of Iowa, and an Iraq veteran of the first Iraq War, says, listening now as I travel. When I was talking about the most recent episode, which if you haven't listened to it, I encourage you to check that one out. There's a lot of interesting stuff in that one. Very interesting stuff. And we're going to continue into a lot of that kind of mold as we move into 2024. Of course, you're going to hear more and more about Nephilim giants and such. Probably not so much about Bigfoot unless I actually see one, because I really don't have a whole lot to say about Bigfoot. Bigfoot's not in the Bible as in anything, so do I doubt they exist? I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'm kind of 50-50 on Bigfoot, but Nephilim giants, of course they were real. That's in the Bible. And there's all kinds of evidence of giants in the land. And most interestingly of all, you think that it all took place over in the Middle East or something, Mediterranean or whatever around there, but then you hear about giant skeletons being found in the United States, South Dakota, even in Minnesota. That's right. So, and old Native American legends about them battling giants. It's fascinating stuff. So we're going to get more and more into that. Freedom of thought is kind of evolving a little bit as it goes, but obviously still very much about conservative politics, about Christianity, about supporting Christmas rather than happy holidays. Strong support of saying Merry Christmas, even if it's Happy Christmas. Season's greetings, I don't think that was ever meant to cover up anything, but maybe it was. I don't know, maybe it was a secular crowd in the old days, but it wasn't as aggressive as, say, the Happy Holidays crowd has become over the last 20 years or so. I mean, they've gotten real aggressive, folks, really aggressive, and it stinks. But thankfully, you have companies like I talked about in the last episode, companies like Menards that cut the crap and say Merry Christmas right there on the bag, like on the shopping bag they give you. So it's freaking cool. One other thing I posted on the Facebook page, obviously, sharing it from someone else originally, but you get the idea. It was such a good meme that I couldn't resist. The left's climate change experts. It was a bartender and a high school dropout. That would be a KOC or whatever they call her. Not KOC, AOC, which is why I don't use the words KOC to describe Kevin O'Connell, because I'm not a fan of Alexa Ocasio-Cortez. I don't like her at all. I can't stand her. She's an idiot and everything else you can think of. And the high school dropout, that would be that other girl about the how dare you. Why am I blanking on her name? It's because she's become so significant anyway. And how dare I anyway, right? So, high school dropout in that case. That's your climate change experts. And I know it's warm this year, but climate's not going to quote-unquote change from, say, 2 degrees last year. It was absolutely freezing at this time last year, if you remember correctly, particularly if you lived in Minnesota, but I'm sure it was cold in Iowa and South Dakota and other neighboring states. It was cold. It was a very cold winter last year, especially at this time of year. And then we had a little jump around New Year's Eve, and then it got cold again for the most part for a while. It was weird, though. New Year's Eve is never warm, and it was actually warm last year. Looks like it's going to get cold just in time for New Year's Eve, but certainly not in time for Christmas. I don't think it's going to be 50, but it'll be like 40s and upper 30s or something as we head into actual Christmas here. But it's pretty crazy. Nobody saw it in rain. Like, what the heck? So, but that's kind of how it goes, I suppose. With that said, please do, again, if you could put positive ratings on podcasting apps, if you could, it would really help this show. Positive ratings for the show, though, not necessarily for the app. If you want to give the app a support, whatever it is, go ahead. But support the show if you could. The show needs some love. It needs to get noticed a little bit. It'll have a hard time getting noticed if nobody's liking it. So that's just how algorithms work. With that said, have yourself a merry, merry little Christmas. And we'll be back probably to talk about heading into the new year, regardless of what New Year actually means or not. I don't know. I'm still kind of debating on if it means anything, but we'll see. Hopefully a wonderful 2024 coming around. But until then, have, again, a merry, merry, merry Christmas, and may God bless the United States of America.